The haunted house. The haunted house. Stories from my life. The haunted house, leaving Texas, back for Georgia. Hello, y'all. I'm Dianna Brianne, stories from my life. You know, I've been telling little stories here lately because, well, I'm trying to come up for air and talk about lighter topics. Although many of these stories I've shared before, some I'm adding new details to, some I am simply repeating, and some are brand new stories. And this one is one I've told before. Many of you may have heard it, but it's worth listening to again because it's a great story. And so I got to thinking about this one. My mom had just come to stay with us because she was very sick. She was very ill. She had several different major health issues. And she'd come with us at not a good time because we were leaving Texas, but we didn't know where we were going at the time. And we ended up finding out we were going to Georgia, back to Georgia, to Georgia, to a brand new town. And I really didn't want to go there. I didn't want to make any changes because my mother was so ill, but we had to, take her with us. And we couldn't leave her in California, so we brought her with us during the move. And remember, I had 3 small children. I was homeschooling. I did a fantastic job with my mom, with my kids, with my husband, with all of us. But I was exhausted, and truly, it was a very challenging and difficult time. Nonetheless, we drove across country. My mom drove in with my husband and one of my sons, and my one son and my daughter drove with me, and we followed each other. I think we had cell phones at that time, or it could have been walkie-talkies or both. I'm not sure. Anyhow, we're into Georgia, and a town that we had not lived in before. And my husband said, "You want to see the house I rented?" 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior, he had flown to Georgia, rented a house for us because we didn't want to buy one right away. And for good reason, because you want to buy a house after you know the area. But we had to pick it based upon my mother's health insurance because she's coming from California. Her health insurance would only be recognized in certain counties in Georgia at that time. And so that was the major factor. Number 2 was the school system, if we were to put our kids back in school, even though I was homeschooling at the time. So my husband rented this great big house, but right after he'd signed the contract, I found out that there were, down the road a little bit, there was somebody of questionable value. And it kind of alerted me, you know how they have all these different sites on the internet that you can research the area. And so I was like, I don't want to go there now. But anyhow, we went there and we were fine in that regards. But nonetheless, we get there, and as we're coming up this steep hill, I didn't even know Georgia had that kind of hills in it, but it was a very steep hill. And I mean, I felt like my car, I think I was driving, my husband's car, and I thought it felt like it was going to flip over. As we're coming up the hill, there's this huge house, brick house, perched on the top of the hill, along with a couple other houses, but it was kind of like right up there. And it looked like it had a face to it because the 2 upstairs bedroom lights were lit, and so was one of the downstairs lights. And it looked like it had a mouth and eyes. And it was just so spooky. It was a newer house, but it was big, and it was brick, and it was cold looking. And I thought, oh no, I hope it's not that house. And it was. So we went to the door. We didn't have keys, but the door was unlocked. It was unlocked. My husband, and he said, come on. So the kids and I got out of the car. My mom was in the car. She says, I'm not going in that haunted house. I'm not going in there. So she sat in the car. And I think my husband was driving the Expedition. So she was sitting in the Expedition. And so my kids and I, we slowly walked up the driveway. We go in, and the house is beautiful. It's immaculate, hardwood floors, marble, the whole bit. But it was cold and icy feeling. And I really didn't like the feeling I was getting there. But, we'd already signed a year contract, so we had to stay. We had to stay. And so anyhow, we're going from this 3-level house, and the bottom level was going to be my mother's. It was like a mother-in-law suite. It was real big and nice. And then the main level was the family level, and then the top level was the bedroom level for us. So I ended up, lo and behold, we were wandering all around the house. So I went downstairs and I went into one of the back rooms, and the doorknob fell off and the door shut and the light turned off. And I was like, oh my gosh, I started screaming. I'm in the other part of the downstairs house, so I wasn't even sure if my husband or anyone could hear me. I'm banging on the door because I couldn't find the doorknob. And the other part had fallen off on the other side. So my husband gets down there and he figures out a way to get the doorknob on and get the door open, and I get out of there. And I was like, oh, get me out of here. So in the meantime, the doorbell rings and it starts raining and it's thundering outside, and the doorbell rings, and there is a lady who is got an umbrella, and she is standing at the doorway with all this rain coming down. My mother's in the car honking the horn saying, let's get the H out of here. I won't get out of here. This house is haunted. And she's honking the horn, and the lady says, I'm the welcome wagon lady. I just wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood. And we said, thank you very much. Would you like to come in because it's raining? No, I'm fine. But I just wanted to let you know there's a man down the road with questionable values, and also your house is haunted. Welcome to the neighborhood. And she turned away and walked away in the rain with the umbrella down the road to her house. She lived in the neighborhood. And oh my gosh, I just said to my husband, let's get out of here. So my mother's honking the horn. We end up getting out of there. Lo and behold, the next day the moving van comes, brings all of our furniture. We move in for a year. And I have to tell you, it was a very different year. And, I've heard stories about anybody that lived there prior. And, it just was a very cold type of house. And I'm a very warm type of person. So it didn't fit my personality, although it was a beautiful house. And then about a year later, they decided to sell it. And we didn't want to buy it. We just said no. And so we found another house, and we ended up buying another house just down the road a little bit. Well, not in the same neighborhood, but down the road. And so we moved out of it. But I always say that was the haunted house. From my house to yours. May God bless you. I hope you're enjoying my stories. And I hope you like, share, subscribe. Links are pinned at the top of the comments section below. May God bless you. Bye-bye. Porch, a place to relax.